Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, March 4th, and we are barreling through another very busy broadcast week. Broadcasting live on Rumble, live on Twitter, Spreely TV, which is Roku TV and Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine, thanks to our new promoters over at Radcast Network. We are up over 5 million downloads since last month. We're building up that audio SJ audience. And so to all of our new podcast listeners, it is so great to have you join us today on the Shannon Joy Show, reaching well over 2 million eyes and ears every single month. It's absolutely crazy. And we could not do it with all of you. The audience looks amazing today. For those of you on the Rumble live chat, appreciate you guys being here and all of your comments. We have Don't Frag Me Bro joining us today. Guitar Lily, Zen Woman, CJP Rumble, Buskman is with us as well. Blessings, Mrs. Joy. Thank you so much, Buskman. I appreciate you. Done Fed Up is with us on the live chat. Did anyone else see Andrew Tate on PBD? It's Patrick Bet David, but I call him the pimp boosting dirtbag. And yes, Andrew Tate was on with him yesterday. I didn't watch it. I don't want to watch it. Maybe we'll discuss it tomorrow. We have more important things to discuss today in the Shannon Joy Show. But as you know, we will continue to follow this story because we're one of the only outlets in the United States of America even covering it. So Done Fed Up. Yes, I saw it, and we will discuss tomorrow. B, My Valentine is with us today. Thank you so much for being with us. You guys saw the headline of today's show. We have a live exclusive with Dr. Pierre Kory, who is ready to go. We're going to bring him up in just a minute. As bird flu and measles hysteria accelerates, Team Trump and HHS are promoting vaccines in babies, chickens, and cows. Is this wise? I asked this question, given our experience over the past 5 years, everything we've learned about pandemics and pandemic response and the COVID virus and vaccinating into a pandemic and all of the things that we learned, all of the experts and the researchers that we talked to for so many years about these things. It's very strange to me to see the Fauci, Birx pandemic preparedness talking points regurgitated back to us in 2025 by leaders in the Trump administration. But here we are as we approach the 5-year anniversary of the worst fraud ever perpetrated by a government against its own people, resulting in millions of vaccine injuries and deaths via government protocol. It appears that we're just going to go ahead and do it all over again. I guess that's what the narrative is at this point. And once again, here today, Tuesday, March 4th, as we approach that anniversary, we must navigate a fire hose of medical mistruths and manufactured hysteria from our own government and resist their crony capitalist countermeasures and response plans, which will likely make this situation worse. There is so much here to talk about, but we're also going to talk about the good news as well. Dr. Pierre Kory is one of the foremost leaders in the country, perhaps the world, in battling cancer using repurposed drugs and generic drugs and natural methods. And his practice is exploding as he is helping so many people. He is seeing patients via telehealth across the country and world. And so we're going to talk about the good news too, how to battle the COVID-19 vaccine injuries or long COVID or any of the things that we're dealing with today. We're going to look at the state of the health of the United States of America and our citizens, and we're going to separate fact from fiction. This fear porn that is ramping up, this hysteria is not okay. There are so many ways for you to be healthy, for this country to regain our health. And sadly, these efforts are going to have to come from outside of the federal government, in my opinion. But we're going to discuss all of this today with our friend, Dr. Pierre Kory. So without further ado, Annie, thank you so much for producing the show today. Let's bring in our very good friend, Dr. Pierre Kory, who is coming to Rochester, New York on March 29th with his beautiful new wife to talk to us about health and healing and the state of America's health. That's March 29th. Summitfortruth.com, summitfortruth.com. The tickets are selling like hotcakes. We are going to have many, many, many hundreds of people physically in Rochester, New York, Dr. Kory, and we just can't wait to welcome you here along with some other superstars as well.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. It's good to see you, Shannon.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We're going to have such a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get right into it. Thank you for being with us today on the show. Really, as we're witnessing, it seems in the past 48 hours, there has been a ramping up of this concern from the federal government about bird flu and also a measles outbreak in the state of Texas. Why don't we start with measles? We have HHS now recommending that parents consider vaccinating their children against measles and kind of hyping it up a little bit. Like it's, we've never seen this in the country. And, we have to, gather all of our resources and respond to it from the federal level. What are your thoughts on that first? And then we'll get to bird flu and just get your initial reactions. Should people be afraid right now about measles?
Well, I guess it depends what you know and what you don't know. I mean, for me, you asked me my thoughts, Shannon. I mean, again, I think differently. My practice is different. I mean, if you look at COVID, right, and you look at all of the treatments studied, there's actually over 70 different therapies that have been shown to be effective in COVID. Many of them have broad antiviral properties. So, this whole idea that measles should be scary. I mean, if my child had measles, I'd go after that thing. I got plenty of stuff to treat my child. So no one ever talks to the fact that we have treatment. The best treatment is really vitamin A. Not the best treatment, but that's one thing that's actually recommended. But there's much more potent things. So you could treat it. B, we're going to get into this vaccine nonsense. So outbreaks happen, right? They immediately use these things to drum up vaccines. So much as attention is paid. And one of the points that, like, for instance, Bobby makes, which is really important, is this obsession with infectious illnesses when we're getting ravaged with so many other diseases, right? Chronic illnesses, childhood illnesses like ADHD and autism, and the cancers that are exploding, and yet we have these fear-mongering, obsessive coverage of children who get measles. Remember, before the vaccines, there was a high mortality earlier last century, but the mortality of measles plummeted before the vaccine was ever introduced. So it's not like a particularly deadly disease, although yes, you can have some deaths, but I don't want to be dismissive, but there's many different ways that we have deaths. I mean, there's bicycle accidents, there's motor vehicle accidents. And again, I think this outsized obsession and then this drumming of the need for vaccination. And then the MMR, are you kidding me? That's how you vaccinate. MMR is a dangerous vaccine, in my opinion. Japan stopped MMR vaccines in 1993.
Wow.
There's got to be a reason for that, right? At least someone's paying attention to the science. And so I find this measles stuff, just like with the bird flu, it's really unfortunate. The only answer is vaccine, right? It's one size fits all. Everyone needs to get vaccinated, and then they scare you into. Then people, I think, get nervous, right? Or they'll feel guilty. I didn't vaccinate my child, and somehow they feel like they're going to have a role. And again, I think that it's all unfortunate.
Yes. Can you walk us through just a layperson's cost benefit analysis with an MMR vaccine versus a child getting measles themselves and treating it with a vitamin A? Because I think that's really, if I were to advocate for parents to kind of do their own research and go out and try to make this decision, because at this point now we have members of the medical freedom community coming out and saying it's time to get your MMR vaccine or recommending it. You consider it a dangerous drug. What should parents know about MMR and the potential for adverse impact or an adverse reaction?
Well, MMR vaccines, in my opinion, have definitively been associated with autism. I mean, if you look at Andy Wakefield's work and how his career got ended for bringing that information out to the public, making that association, and then we're dealt with a deluge of literally what I would call propaganda in these journals. Shannon, you're well aware of the censorship that is occurring at the level of the medical journals. You saw that in COVID.
Yeah.
That's been going on with vaccines for decades. I mean, they don't publish inconvenient science around vaccines. And those of us who know the literature, and you look at maybe the second and third tier journals, you can find immense amount of evidence of the dangers of these. And so, I know just myself personally, well, now that I'm, as part of the medical freedom moment, I know families, I have friends whose kids are like literally totally dependent on
Mm.
their parents and near institutionalized, from just the most severe forms of autism, which occurred after the MMR vaccine. And so the risk benefit for me, for something that has a reasonably low mortality, especially for a healthy child who, takes vitamin D or vitamin A, it's not very high. Case fatality rates in high income settings is like 0.1%.
Yep.
Low income populations, it's a little higher, but 0.1% is not a deadly illness. I mean, many of us or former generations, they routinely had measles. It wasn't a problem. So I again, and then remember, you asked me, Shannon, about risks and benefits, and I was trying to introduce. Whenever you have a risk and benefit conversation, you always have to do risks, benefits, and alternatives, right?
Mm.
And so, which is treatment, making sure that you're up to date on your vitamins and all that. And that's
Right.
the way I would go. Vaccines, we're learning more and more. They don't do what they're supposed to. They fail a lot, and they come with a lot of toxicity.
I agree. I was disappointed in the op-ed that was released on Fox News by
Mm.
Robert Kennedy Jr., head of HHS, in a statement recommending the MMR. What really disappointed me about that statement, because people can have differing opinions about MMR and whether or not to give that to their children. I would never give it to my children, ever,
Nope.
ever, 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 ever. In fact, in the amazing publication Vax Unvax, co-published by RFK Jr. and Dr. Brian Hooker, who is amazing. I mean, there is an entire section on MMR which lays out the definitive studies that you mentioned that absolutely link the MMR to autism. And even if you were to look at MMR, and one of the most common adverse events recorded and reported to the vaccine adverse event reporting system would be encephalitis, which is the swelling of the brain. So, if you vaccinate with MMR a sick child who's already sick, running a fever, you run the risk of an adverse reaction. And after encephalitis, that can trigger the onset of all sorts of neurological, things. My two kids suffered epilepsy post vaccination, and this was DTaP polio. And that's established by their medical records. So at the very least, I wish there would have been a mention of the fact that no vaccine is safe for all people, that every vaccine carries a risk and carries the risk of an adverse event. And that was the one thing. People have all kinds of things to say about that, the op-ed, but that was the one thing that really disappointed me. People have to know the definition of informed consent is that people know that risks come along with these vaccines. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So, listen, I know Bobby, and we all know how deeply studied he is on especially the safety aspect of these vaccines. I mean, he knows the data and the literature more than anyone, right?
Right,
And
right.
so when you see an op-ed like that, there's only one way that I can interpret that is, and it's unfortunate to say, but Bobby's a politician now.
Yeah.
And I trust his judgment. I think he has great plans in terms of his mission in order to protect our health in this country and reverse, the scourge of chronic illnesses. And I think vaccines are a big part of that. I think he's playing chess. I think this is strategic. I think this is too much too soon. Like if he came out and said, we're not going to support vaccination, I don't think he could get away with that. I think the outcry and it might hurt and really weaken his ability to lead and do what he's going to do. So I think this is an unfortunate strategic decision. It's certainly not based on the welfare of children in those communities because, like you said, the dangers of MMR are just too high.
And that is typically what that's basically the narrative that I'm hearing too, that this is strategic political posturing, and that he's being directed in some sense. We have to keep an eye on this though, because that was a glaring omission, and that was a dangerous omission. If you have parents now across this country going out and deciding to vaccinate their kids against, measles because of those statements, well, then that is direct impact of these statements, and that's why these discussions are so very important. um, and so, yes, vitamin A. Real quickly, for measles, parents out there who want to avoid the vaccine trap, and they do not want to subject their children to that form of medical intervention, what kind of therapies for measles? You mentioned vitamin A. Anything else out there that you like that would be a great alternative for parents?
Yeah, I would want their vitamin D levels to be in the normal range, and not the official normal range, right? Because we know those are falsely lowered.
Right.
So I want to make sure they have, they've been supplemented with vitamin D. And then for measles specifically, um, you know, we don't have definitive evidence, but there's plenty of things that have broad activity. So first of all, I would be doing, because it's a respiratory virus, I would be doing nasopharyngeal sanitization, right? So either with povidone iodine, you can do it with
Love it.
Danusol, which is like hydrochloric acid. You can do hydrogen peroxide. Those are really good.
Right up here,
Um,
the nasals that where you can
yeah,
you I have a homemade one, betadine, povidone
exactly,
with distilled
exactly,
water, and I just squirt it right up my nose.
for sure.
And I make all my kids do it too.
Yeah, and then, gargle, do some sprays in
Oh,
the
yeah.
throat and nose, and so that's already a very good treatment. Then you have, some nutraceuticals like Nigella sativa has broad antiviral, anti-inflammatory properties.
Great.
Quercetin. I mean, there's a number of them. And if you go to, for instance, c19early.org, and you look at all studies on that website, that's a database of all the studies of every therapeutic in COVID. I mean, you can see just dozens. I mean, sunlight, right? That's one thing you could get. Imagine that. Right?
Midwestern Doctor, one of my favorites. That is a must follow Substack, in addition to Dr. Pierre Kory's Substack, which is pierrekorymedicalmusings.com. I am heavy on Substack lately because I feel like Twitter is just getting a little bit too political. So I'm
Mhm.
really enjoying Substack. Midwestern Doctor with a piece on vitamin D, the dermatological war on the sun, and how
Yep.
important the sun is. It's incredibly important. So those vitamin D levels need to be up there. That's great information. And you mentioned that I agree with you on this obsession with viruses and pandemics and all of these communicable diseases, when we have a massive epidemic in this country. And I would say it's likely induced largely by mass vaccination programs and the suppression of immune systems.
Yeah.
You're mentioning cancers and autism, chronic diseases, but the autoimmune disorders that we know definitively, there are many studies out there now showing reduced autoimmune systems as a result of COVID-19 vaccination, long COVID, the spike protein, the mRNA technology. Um, are we moving into a moment? Geert Vanden Bosch has written a lot about this. Are we moving into a moment, Dr. Kory, that so many millions of Americans have been repeatedly jabbed, and if they got one of those toxic bad batches, that we could be dealing with millions upon millions of Americans and children who have chronically depleted immune systems that would make a measles or a bird flu or anything that comes down the pike much more difficult for their bodies to handle. Could that be mistaken as another pandemic, when we're so that we're ignoring the root cause of it and moving into the once again the pandemic preparedness protocols, vaccination, social distancing, closing things down, masking up, that type of thing? Well, we're really dealing with suppressed immune systems. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there was an article in Forbes about 6 months ago, and it was an absolutely terrifying article because it reviewed the massive increases in 13 different infectious diseases around the world. There's like these huge outbreaks of a bunch of different infectious illnesses. And why would that suddenly be happening now, right?
Mm,
And we know already, this is well known even before COVID, is that flu vaccination, even though it has very, very modest reduction in your chance of getting flu and it does not decrease mortality, what's well known is people who get vaccinated for the flu have increased risk of other respiratory viruses. And so
mm.
just using that as an example, it explains why we're seeing these explosions in the amount of people getting sick. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, about a month ago, the hospitals were filling with rotavirus.
Unbelievable.
When does that happen? And so this is a real problem. I mean, let's not even. I think it's hard to overstate what this mRNA vaccine campaign has done in terms of what you just described, right? So you have depressed and disordered or dysregulated immune systems.
Mm,
So a huge rise in infectious illnesses. We're seeing explosions in cancer.
mm.
We're seeing, as I think you mentioned, the paper from a week ago that came out of Yale, which finally some center is finally able to publish a paper describing what I do every day, which is I see patients with post-vaccination syndrome,
Wow.
which is I think of that a little bit different than a vaccination injury, which I tend to think of like as a single organ system
Yeah.
problem. The syndrome is a constellation of symptoms, and it's the same thing as ME/CFS or chronic fatigue syndrome, and I see it all the time. But all of my patients have been labeled long COVID, even though 70% of my practice is long vax.
Wow.
The vax is what triggered, and people say, "How do you know?" You take a history. The patients will tell you, when they got vaccinated, when their symptoms started, and they'll tell but the other time, with long COVID, it's also pretty easy to see because that happens right subsequent to COVID. But the
Mm.
majority are vaccination. And so finally, that's now in the literature that's actually a thing, right? And, for me to read that paper was really hard because I've been battling trying to help these patients for 3 years now. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so this is setting our country up though for another pandemic response. In my opinion, this could set us up for another lockdown because what they didn't have in 2020. I mean, as we, from March of 2020 throughout the first year. I mean, we paid very close attention on the Shannon Joy show to the number of fatalities that they were reporting, to how they were reporting fatalities, to the mechanism, the PCR testing that was completely flawed and it led to all those huge numbers. But what they didn't have, really honestly, was a lot of sick and dead people because it was largely, in my opinion, overhyped, and they played the game of died with COVID as opposed to died from COVID. So if you got hit by a bus, went to the hospital, and they tested you positive for COVID and you died the next day from being hit by a bus, not from COVID, they counted that as a COVID death. And that was the trick that they did. It's also the trick that they appear to be doing potentially in Texas with that first child, the case of the child who died from measles, which we're keeping an eye on here in the Shannon Joy show. We need more information on that. But I'm concerned that this next time around, they really are going to have dead bodies. They are going to have actually very, very sick people because I'm seeing a lot of really sick kids and a lot of really sick people. It's all upper respiratory. I'm seeing it in my own circles, in my own community. People are getting sicker and they're sicker longer than I remember in the past. And I just don't want them to have any excuse to lock us down again or to try this again or to try to push another vaccine. Do you share those concerns, or do you think that we have enough knowledge now to push against that? Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I have the same concerns. The thing with, let's say if it's bird flu, I mean, bird flu has a really concerning mortality. I mean, that is a deadly disease. And so if you actually had a pandemic of that, we would be in some sort of emergency. You don't want to lock down. That's never been a solution to an epidemic or a pandemic. But I'd have real concerns around that. And of course, they have vaccines ready for that one,
Of
right?
course, of course.
And so we're going into this whole road show again, which is and like you were just talking about, like I think there's a good portion of the population that has been awakened, and that the true nature of how our public health agencies, which are literally working in the service of the pharmaceutical industry,
Right.
I think there's a lot more skepticism. There will be a lot more pushback. Will there be enough? The problem is that you would really need a large amount of people who do not comply and who resist, because the leaders, anyone working in a position of authority in our healthcare system, they're all, and I'm going to use the word compromised or conflicted, because you cannot work for a major employer in the healthcare system, an academic medical center, health systems, anyone, and actually say and do what is sensible. You have to say what the consensus is, whatever that manufactured consensus is. Otherwise, you lose your job. Otherwise, you get attacked. That's been my experience. And so, we're not going to hear the wisdom coming out of our public health agencies. It's going to have to come from us, and we're going to have to act accordingly and protect ourselves.
Yes, today we're talking to Dr. Pierre Kory. He will be joining us on March 29th for the Summit for Truth and Wellness right here in Rochester, New York, joined by Dr. Naomi Wolf, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, Mary Holland, the president of Children's Health Defense, Sasha Latapova, Aaron Day. We have so many great guests participating in these panels. Full day event. Get your tickets at summitfortruth.com, summitfortruth.com. Such important work that Dr. Kory is doing. And what I love is that he's seeing patients every day. He's talking to patients every day, and he's helping them find solutions. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of those solutions. He is, as I mentioned in the introduction of this show, he is doing groundbreaking work treating cancers and all sorts of other vaccine-induced injuries, long-term chronic injuries. And he's doing that out of his practice, Leading Edge Clinic. His website is drpierrekory.com, drpierrekory.com. He is seeing patients across the country via telemedicine and making a huge difference. I want to hear about those solutions when we come back, and how you can react as a family, how you can protect your family, whether it's the bird flu or measles or whatever scare tactic they're going to throw at you. Is if we are doing smart things, healthy things, using natural remedies and repurposed drugs and generic drugs and drugs that we know are safe and have been safe, then we can have a healthy society of enough healthy people to hopefully push back against the propaganda that will absolutely come with another pandemic scare. So it is critical that you are healthy, that I'm healthy, that we are healthy. And we're going to talk about that with Dr. Pierre Kory when we come back in a moment here on the Shannon Joy Show.
War is this massive racket. I mean, we are at war constantly. Peace is the aberration, and war is the norm.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. One of America's most treasured military heroes.
So if I was to give a grade, like you get in grade school, right? I give us an A+ for participating in these never-ending wars. I give us an F for winning.
Order now at the Patriot TV store. Go to Patriot TV, click on Store, and grab a once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a treasured piece of American history, and get your own personal download link to watch America's most talked-about movie, as well as a DVD hand-signed by General Michael Flynn.
For those that are running our country, they want this perpetuation of war, and you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose?
The Patriot TV store. Incredible savings and a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's showing up more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
After a lifetime of hard work and smart investing, the last thing you want to worry about is losing your retirement savings. Hi, I'm Paul Stone. CEO of Colonial Metals Group. We specialize in helping hardworking Americans like you take back control of their financial future, safeguard their savings. In economic times like these, millions turn to physical precious metals as a form of insurance, while conventional investment choices face challenges or even collapse. If you have an IRA, 401k, or other type of retirement account, my team at Colonial Metals Group would like to help you build a financial protection plan outlining the most secure future for you. We've put together a free protection kit showing how you can start investing in precious metals 100% tax and penalty free to protect and grow your wealth. You can download it for free now by clicking the button below. Customers, we're very proud to say, across the country have been very impressed by my team's in-depth knowledge of financial history and their ability to listen to you. We hold the same conservative values you hold and ones our great nation was built on. And we can't wait to start helping you and working with you. Again, just click the button below to download our retirement protection kit for free now.
Welcome back, everyone. That was Paul Stone. He is the founder, CEO of Colonial Metals Group and amazing friend of the Shannon Joy Show. He'll also be joining us at the summit on March 29th. He'll be on our finance panel the second half of the afternoon. Make sure that you grab your tickets at summitfortruth.com, summitfortruth.com. Colonial Metals Group, as you guys know, I'm a big gold and silver kind of gal. And it's the company that I trust for all my metals purchases. You can set up a safe and secure IRA or 401k with a company who shares your values. So whether it's physical gold and silver to hedge against the chaos in Washington, D.C., or investing or backing up your investments with a gold or silver IRA or 401k, they have all of the tools that you need, and they're just amazing people. So that's colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Dr. Pierre Kory joining us today in the Shannon Joy Show studio. It's been way too long since you have been with us here on the show, and I have a feeling we're gonna have to bring you back in on a regular basis. I didn't think in 2025 we were gonna have to battle the fear porn again, Dr. Kory.
Yep.
But apparently we're gonna do this again. We're gonna do it, and people just need to stop being fearful. The number one is the fear. I feel like anxiety and stress over all of this, they're being pummeled with the news cycle. And I think that impacts your immune system. Denis Rancourt speaks a lot about that. He does some really great work. And Kevin McKiernan has talked about that. And just depletes your immune system. But, people also need to know how to protect themselves and how to be healthy. And you are doing, as I mentioned, groundbreaking work. Let's talk about cancer.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the worst in terms of long-term impact, adverse events of these COVID-19 vaccines are these cancers. Let's start here with, as of today, one of your colleagues, Dr. Merrick, has done amazing work on this. Dr. Merrick has done amazing work on this. That the mechanism, the mechanism that causes the cancers as a result of COVID mRNA vaccination. Can you just explain that process a little bit? And then we'll talk about what you're doing to treat people and to heal them, which is unbelievable. I'm so optimistic about the work that you're doing. But let's start with how these mRNA technologies harm and can cause these cancers.
Yeah. So, the spike protein, which is just a devastating pathogen, and it's, at the risk of, belaboring this point, but they chose the spike protein as the antigen for the vaccines. And we know whether it's, natural virus spike or vaccine spike, it can do a lot of damage to the immune system. In that recent paper I just mentioned from Yale, they saw the immune profiles of those chronically ill were very different than those that weren't. So we're seeing a lot of dysregulated immune systems. And that actually is a risk for cancer.
Right.
And then more specifically, there's certain monitoring mechanisms of the nucleus in terms of controlling against breaks and mutations. Those are depressed from the spike protein. And then the biggest elephant in the room is this DNA contamination issue with the SV40 promoter, which we know directly causes cancer.
Right.
And as of today, I don't know that we have the definitive proof that integration is happening. The DNA that's contaminating the virus, the vaccines, could certainly be driving. Especially I think that's what's causing the turbo cancers. I think integration is happening, and so the vaccines are causing an explosion in cancer. And the interesting aspect about cancer is that my practice, is based on approaching cancer based on the metabolic theory of cancer, which is for me and for quite a few others that have studied this topic, is the validated correct theory of cancer. The prevailing theory, which has been around for 70 to 100 years, is what's called the somatic mutation theory. I'm not going to get too geeky, Shannon, but
Okay.
just briefly, cancer has for 70 years by the entire system of oncology has been thought to arise from the nucleus of the cell where the DNA is, right? So you have these mutations and then the cell behaves cancerously, right? And what is a cancer cell? It's one that divides uncontrollably, one that can metastasize, one that can create blood vessels in order to feed it and grow,
Whoa.
one that evades immune detection. And so the way in which these cells behave are really disordered. But through the work of different groups over the last 50 years, and it culminated in about 2010, where the final piece of the puzzle and the experiments were done, shows that cancer does not start in the nucleus. It actually starts in the mitochondria, right, which is the energy forming unit of the cell. And when you have defects in the mitochondria, it does cause downstream effects in the nucleus. So but the thing is, it's a little bit more than a chicken or the egg difference. Because what happens is when the mitochondria becomes sick, there's a lot of processes the mitochondria is responsible for. And we use a lot of repurposed drugs, which either stimulate or inhibit whatever the disordered processes are in the mitochondria. And we're seeing really good results from using safe, well-tolerated medicines. I use them in combination. I also do that upon a foundation of dietary interventions. I mean, low-carb diets are the rule. We try to get our patients into ketosis because one of the biggest difference between a cancer cell and a normal cell is the cancer cell predominantly relies on glucose for energy, whereas all of our other cells use oxygen.
Okay.
So if you can try to quote unquote starve the cancer cell of glucose by really controlling glucose levels and using low carb or ketogenic diets, we have studies showing really good impacts of that. So we kind of combine dietary interventions with combinations of really safe, well tolerated repurposed drugs, and I'm really seeing some pretty impressive results. So now I won't say that everybody responds positively, but what I do is complementary to the standard of care. So many of my patients, they're on their chemo, their targeted therapies, they get radiation, but then I approach them from the metabolic approach. And I really think we're seeing optimized outcomes. I've seen incredible remissions in a minority. But the other thing that's really interesting, which took me a little while to figure out because I've been doing this for about a year now, is when I was seeing patients in follow-up, like I had some early dramatic successes.
Wow.
But then I was seeing in other patients, when I'd see them in follow-up, I wasn't seeing such dramatic responses, but I also wasn't seeing a lot of worsening. And at first I would look upon that as somewhat disappointing, but then I started to realize, especially in collaboration with other doctors that are doing the same thing, is that what we're achieving in a lot of our patients is control of disease. We're seeing non-progression, no new mets, no growths in the tumor, no new clinical symptoms, right? So not everything's those sexy PET scans where everything disappears. Those are most fun.
Right, right.
But in others, patients just feel good, and they now are starting to accept that and be content that the disease is being controlled without toxic therapies, right? I'm not having to do radiation or chemo, and so my patients are generally very, very happy. But I also have to admit, I've had patients which really didn't respond, and they've unfortunately passed. But I'd say for a large proportion of my practice, they're doing really well.
Are you finding that the patients are younger and younger? That's one of the narratives that we're seeing, that these turbo cancers are accelerating, but they're also impacting younger and younger patients. Is that something that you've seen?
Yeah, so here's the answer to that. So I've written 3 op-eds in major mainstream outlets about the rise in cancers in young people. And they're going really high in young people, which, by the way, cancer is not a young person disease, right?
Right.
But that's the pre-COVID world, right? The numbers are there. But when you ask if I'm seeing it, you know what's interesting about that, Shannon, is the people who come to me are generally unvaccinated. So like I know they're out there, but there's also a reason why they're vaccinated. And you know how it is. It's very polarized. And so my patients have followed my work. They've trusted me. They followed my advice in COVID, especially around the vaccines. And I've been shouting from the rooftops for a few years now, stay away from those things.
Yep.
And so they tend to be, I would say, more politically aligned. So I'm not seeing a ton of the young post-vaccine cancers, although I have seen one. Can I tell you one story of one?
Yes.
Because it still troubles me to this day. But one of the first patients who ever consulted me was a 20-year-old woman from the University of Florida, and she had advanced glioblastoma. And what was really unfortunate is by the time I did that consultation, she was actually days from death. And she unfortunately died without any treatment that I could start on her. But what I never will forget in talking to her and her family that day is that she's 20, she has glioblastoma, and a young man in her friend group at the same university had died of glioblastoma 2 weeks beforehand.
Oh my word.
She had 2 kids in the same friend group from a university with deadly brain cancers. And I still to this day, it just upsets me to no end.
I mean, you would have to wonder if they got the same batch, right? Remember all those college kids who were lied to, coerced, and manipulated into getting vaccines in order to stay in college.
And who didn't need it because they're young and healthy. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous.
Horrible, horrible. We have some questions. So for your cancer treatments, just real quick rundown, and then we have 10 more minutes with you, 9 more minutes. We have a couple questions from the audience, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let's just give you a couple because I like to give the audience, and you guys look great. Thank you to everyone who is commenting. These treatments that you like. So it's diet, but you also talked about repurposed drugs and new generics, really cheap ways to treat. What do you like? What are you using in combo with your patients?
Yeah. So depending on the stage and extent of the cancer, I'm using up to a combination of 10 different repurposed drugs and/or nutraceuticals, right? So mainstays are ivermectin and mebendazole for sure. Those 2 are really, really important. But in addition to that, I do something called high-dose vitamin D protocols. I use metformin is really good for cancer. Propranolol, which is a non-cardioselective beta blocker. Doxycycline is huge. I use low-dose doxycycline. Doesn't affect the microbiome at the doses I use, but it's really potent, especially combined with vitamin C. Those are some of the things I use. And then I use a couple of other antiparasitics or antifungals. Itraconazole is good. And then nutraceuticals. First of all, melatonin, excellent. EGCG, green tea, curcumin, omega-3 fatty acids, and berberine. And, the important, again, I'm going to go back into science a little bit because I think you're going to really be interested in this. There's another aspect of cancer that is new and that you never hear people talking about. But there's there's something called a cancer stem cell. I don't know if you've heard of cancer stem cells. So the first one was identified in 1994 in a leukemia patient. And then in the solid tumors, it was identified in 2004. So it's not like a long-standing concept. But what is known about cancer stem cells, and this explains why cancer is so deadly, is that they're resistant to chemotherapy and radiation. And that is why you can get responses. Most of the tumors is formed by tumor cells, and the cancer cells is a small little population, but they divide much more slowly. They can self-renew, and so it's very hard to get rid of them. And right now, there is a whole focus of research. The pharma's going nuts on cancer stem cells. They're developing all these fancy little monoclonal antibodies. But here's the thing. Repurposed drugs. You can go to any AI browser or any AI machine, go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, what are the top 10 repurposed drugs that work against cancer stem cells? And most of them are on that list that I just told you. Resveratrol is another one. So we are going after cancer stem cells with my protocols in a way that standard of care therapies are not. There's no like patented drug right now which definitively goes after cancer stem cells. And the shame of it is I'm doing this, but they should be doing this too.
Oh, I know.
And actually, let me finish on that, Shannon, because there's one more point, is that I discovered a few weeks ago that there are actually 3 large trials studying combination repurposed drug therapy in cancer from academic medical centers. So they are getting the memos.
Okay.
And like there's one that's called CUSP-9. They're using a combination of 9 different repurposed drugs alongside standard of care. And then there's a couple others. So I got to tell you, for me, I was really encouraged by that because I think it hopefully will introduce into the management and treatment of cancer this idea that, just relying on the, what do we call it, slash, poison, and burn, right? So it's surgery, radiation, and chemo, that's basically the mainstay of cancer treatment, that there is a safer, broader, and more scientific way at controlling and treating cancer.
Well, and they can probably also contribute to cancer prevention, right? I mean, just having a body that is de-stressed, detoxified, that is getting the right nutrients, enough sun and outdoor time, vitamin D. I think, fasting, we've talked to Dr. Merrick about fasting as a way to engage in regular autophagy so that you're cleaning out cancer cells and bad cells. It's all there. Dr. Pierre Kory, that leads me to this question actually from the live chat. Buskman is with us. What is your take on the mRNA shots curing cancer per Trump and Ellison? So this is a major initiative of the Starlink, which is to create mRNA to cure cancer.
I almost can't speak. Like I almost can't speak. It is the most brazen, reckless absurdity I have ever heard. The entire mRNA platform is toxic. I would never use any mRNA technology. We know that they shed. We know that they can be misread and create strange proteins. And these lipid nanoparticles in which they're delivered in, we know it spreads throughout the body and can go to any organ. We know there's no shutoff knob to making these proteins, that they're made for hugely extended periods. That's been shown in numerous studies. The most recent one that we've talked about, it was up to 749 days they're finding spike protein in the blood. So, I mean, I could never, on my worst enemy, suggest an mRNA platform technology intervention. It's just way too dangerous. I mean, we just talked about the wreckage that this country and many countries around the world are suffering in terms of our health since the last mRNA product that we use widely.
Yes.
No way.
Insane. Stargate. Don't frag me, bro. Thank you for the correction. Not Starlink, Stargate. We have another question about your position concerning virology's use of monkey kidney or bovine cells in cultures to create vaccines. It's kind of off topic, but
yeah, I mean, that's where you've seen some of the contamination stuff, but yeah, it's a little off topic for me. I have lanes, that I stay in. There's topics that I know about it. The cell culture aspect of it, I'm not really studied on its benefits or risks.
Okay. What is your position on antibiotics? Good or bad or somewhere in the middle? This is from Don't Frag Me Bro.
They're life-saving when indicated, but often overused.
Okay.
And, bacteria is a little bit different, right? We talked about all of the dozens and dozens of therapies that we have that have antiviral properties. Bacteria is a little bit different. You have antibiotics, but there are other treatments rather than antibiotics. I mean, there's oxidative therapies work really well. Things like ozone, hydrogen peroxide, those can oxidize bacteria. Ultraviolet blood irradiation is really good. The problem with ozone and UVBI is that it's not so accessible, right? But then, then there's, I try not to talk about it because I feel like they're going to come after me, but chlorine dioxide has been used by millions around the world to treat.
I have heard about this.
Bacteria.
Chlorine dioxide. We need
solutions. There's non-antibiotic solutions. And the thing that's interesting about chlorine dioxide, is it's selective against pathogens and it doesn't hurt the microbiome. And so, whereas antibiotics are a little bit more broad and, it can disrupt the microbiome. So there's negative consequences to antibiotics. But, as a critical care doctor, whose my main expertise for, a decade and a half was treating severe sepsis from bacteria, I saved, thousands of lives with antibiotics, but those were really, really sick patients.
Very sick people. Yeah, I think there is an overuse there. I want to let you go. I know you have to go see a patient right now, Dr. Kory. I could talk to you for another hour. I feel like we just got started, right? Like this is not okay. So you must come back in again because we are going to need some sane, rational discussions about, everything that's going to come out in 2025. I think they're going to ramp this stuff up again because a lot of them are compromised. But you have a wonderful day. I appreciate everything you're doing. Let everyone know how they can support you. Grab his book too. The War on Ivermectin is unbelievable. And how can people support you, find you, and join your practice?
Yeah, so drpierrekory.com. We're happy to help. And then, like you said, Pierre Kory Medical Musings. I put out a lot of what I think is really good information to people on how to preserve and protect their health. And so it's one of my missions. So thanks. And I can't wait to see you, Shannon, in person. It's going to be a good time.
We're going to have so much fun.
Yeah.
These things are fun. This is what I tell everyone. Like it is collaboration, it is community, it's discourse, sometimes a little bit of robust debate, but it's going to be a wonderful day. And we're putting so many brilliant people in a room. I just love watching when people get in proximity. Just the type of fruit that is born out of that is, lasts for years and years. So we can't wait to welcome you here in Rochester. You have a great day.
For sure. See you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Dr. Pierre Kory. His Substack is pierrekorymedicalmusings.com. You can follow him on Twitter. His handle is @Pierre Kory. Although I'm spending less and less time on Twitter. I am moving over to Substack. I have found I enjoy it more and more. Twitter seems to be so political. Clearly, the owner of Twitter and the controller of the algorithms, Elon Musk, has a very political role right now in this country. And so I'm just finding it to be not as fun. So I'm really enjoying Substack right now. I mentioned a Midwestern doctor Substack, phenomenal on common sense approaches to health. Obviously, Pierre Kory. And you met Dr. Williams last week on the Shannon Joy Show. If you missed that functional health show with Dr. Williams last week, go back, pull it up on Rumble, watch it again. Just plain common sense. There is so much misinformation out there. And tragically, fear porn, again, about pandemics. We need rational voices. So we're really thankful for Dr. Pierre Kory. His clinic is the Leading Edge Clinic, and you can be a patient. He takes patients. It is telehealth, and he's just amazing. So super pumped for the summit, March 29th. Get your tickets right now, summitfortruth.com. summitfortruth.com. You will meet Dr. Pierre Kory, Dr. Naomi Wolf, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden will be joining us as well, Mary Holland, the president of Children's Health Defense, and so many other amazing guests. We are going to do some serious work at that summit, and I want to meet you guys. I want to meet you personally and say hello and thank you for your support and your comments. This audience is everything. This show is not about me or the Shannon Joy Show. It is all about all of you. And we've been together for 12 years, some of us, as you've seen the show grow. And so I love the opportunity to meet you guys in person, and thank you. And I'm just so looking forward to this event. All the proceeds go to benefit Americans for Healthcare Alternatives. That's AFA. And so every dollar of ticket sales, every dollar that we raise on the day of the event of the summit goes directly to that amazing organization. They are working on parallel systems, building up a brick and mortar wellness center that would focus on a lot of the things that Dr. Pierre Kory talked about in this last hour, right in Western New York. All we need is a medical doctor. They have all the pieces in place. They just have a few more things they need to do, and we're going to get this thing going. You guys are great. We'll be back in a moment to continue this discussion, and we'll take your questions. I have a little bit more to talk to you guys about today on the Shannon Joy Show, so we're going to hit the news of the day when we come back.
Attention American business owners, big or small, your company deserves to be seen, and Patriot TV is here to help. We're proud to support American-owned businesses by offering a free listing of your company on Patriot TV Store. That's right, no cost, just visibility to millions of loyal viewers who want to support American businesses like yours. Whether you run a small business or a nationwide company, this is your chance to reach a dedicated audience on Patriot TV Store, on major smart TVs like Samsung, LG, Sony, TCL, Roku, also on Apple, Android, Amazon, Fire Stick, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Truth Social, X, and of course, the Patriot TV Store app and website. It's our way of giving back to the community and helping American businesses thrive. Let's work together to build a stronger America. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Get your free business listing today. Contact us at info@patriot.tv.
When things go sideways, will you be ready? Meet the new Patriot Power Generator 1200, a solar generator that's lightweight with more capacity and more life cycles, and recharges twice as fast, all at a fraction of the price. In a blackout, power lights, TVs, medical equipment, even your fridge. No gas, fumes, or noise. It's safe to use inside your home. This is about peace of mind. To learn more about this amazing generator and get your free solar panel, go to Patriot TV Store and look for the solar generator banner.
If you're about to replace your roof, stop. There's a solution about 80% less expensive. 9 out of 10 roofs can be saved by RoofMax. Guaranteed to extend the life of your current roof by 5 to 15 years at a fraction of the cost of a new roof. RoofMax's deep penetrating power restores flexibility and water protection. Nobody wants to replace their roof. Restore it instead with RoofMax for 80% less. Call now for a free roof inspection.
Let's talk about ivermectin. For decades, it's been a trusted FDA-approved medication to treat parasitic infections, but now it's caught up in political games. Here's the reality. With a new virus emerging from China, wildfires in California, hurricanes battering the southeast, being prepared isn't just smart, it's necessary. That's where All Family Pharma comes in. They make access to medications simple and easy. From essential medications to emergency kits, they will be ready for whatever comes next. Work with All Family Pharmacy to make yourself a plan. Get what you need, stay prepared.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. And I just want to take a moment. By the way, thank you, Dom Polano of PCM and Associates. We're actually having drinks today after the show. He's a longtime friend of the Shannon Joy Show and my trusted advisor. So thank you to Dom. But I did want to talk about All Family Pharmacy, especially in context of the conversation we just had with Dr. Pierre Kory. I think everyone realizes that we are dealing in many ways with a hostile government that is aligned with pharmaceutical corporations and the biomedical pharmaceutical industrial complex, or whatever you want to call it, right? But they're not about your health. They're not about saving you. They're not about keeping you healthy or actually treating you when you're sick. This is something that each and every American individual is going to have to do for themselves and their families. Like, we have to take responsibility for our health. So that's in prevention, but it's also in treatment. And we know how they messed with our pharmaceuticals, the ones that we like, even though we dislike a lot of them, and necessary pharmaceutical products like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. And this is where All Family Pharmacy comes in. We should be establishing relationship with pharmacies that we know will be there to provide the products that we need, even if there is a pandemic. And the folks over at All Family Pharmacy are working with so many Americans to provide the drugs that they need at a great price that is shipped right to your door. So you just work with your doctor. They will never, ever deny you the ivermectin or the hydroxychloroquine. And so they make it easy to stock up, which what's amazing is that you can buy in bulk and you can stock up. So whether it's ivermectin, antibiotics, maintenance medications, or emergency kits and more, there are no hassles, no delays, just peace of mind knowing that you have a partner in a pharmacy that is going to make sure you have the meds that you need. You can order today. You can stock up at allfamilypharmacy.com/joy. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/joy. And Joy 10 is the promo code for 10% off. So thank you to All Family Pharmacy, amazing partner of the Shannon Joy Show. All right, guys, let's go to the live chat. How great is Dr. Pierre Kory? I cannot wait to meet him. You guys are definitely piping up on the live chat. CM 1968. Shay, great interview with Dr. Pierre Kory and all the information. Again, I think we could have gone 2 hours. He is a wealth of information, just plain common sense, outside of the system, doing the telemed, seeing patients, which is really important to me. And yeah, just really important information. Oh my gosh, your habitaba. I don't even know. It is just a gobbledygook of letters, but I like your comment on the live chat. So today I was at Trader Joe's to buy some eggs, and they were only allowing people to buy 1 carton at a time, with a carton costing up to $15 for 12 eggs. So they're going to hold our eggs hostage and our chickens hostage until we agree to allow them to shove mRNA vaccines into every livestock animal in the country across the globe. That was one question I didn't get to ask Dr. Pierre Kory. I know what he would have said. I mean, where is the wisdom in injecting this highly toxic, known deadly component, the mRNA technologies, which, by the way, in 2 states, they're working to pull off the market because of shedding and concerns about the SV40 contamination of the mRNA. Let's just inject our entire nation's food supply with mRNA technology. No problems there whatsoever. But that's what they're doing. They're making you miserable. They're making you miserable. They're driving up the cost because the culling is creating, less supply to meet the same amount of demand. And so the Trump administration is going out and murdering millions and millions of chickens. And that's why your eggs are so expensive. And they're going to do that to you and make you miserable until you look the other way while they poison the rest of your food supply. These people are lunatics. We are dealing with mad scientists. This government is out of control. God bless Bobby Kennedy Jr. He's playing his political game. I could care less what kind of game he's playing or what kind of game that Donald Trump is playing. I see what is happening. And $15 eggs, like they're telling you that the economy is great, that the economy is wonderful. We're going to roar back with this thriving economy because Trump's in office. Meanwhile, you can't buy eggs. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. We are all dead. Said, I just paid $8 for 30 eggs. Okay. Well, maybe there's a better deal. Okay, so Canadian. All right. You guys are funny. Okay, what else do we have here? We have some more comments. I think it would be very smart to get to know a good organic chicken farmer or a good organic farmer in general, because they really are messing with our food supply. Strident Conservative is on the live chat on the subject of skyrocketing grocery prices. Trump announced plans now to place tariffs on agricultural products in April. So not only is Trump killing all your chickens and looking to shove them full of mRNA technology, he is also planning to raise tariffs on agricultural products in April, likely from Canada and Mexico. I believe we import an enormous amount of ag from Mexico. So yeah, they're going to make it even more painful for you, right? Lots of billionaires out there getting all kinds of $1 billion and $1 trillion deals. They're not lowering the debt or deficit in any way. They're not cutting spending at all. They're just moving everything over to private contractors like Elon Musk. And we're going to be talking about that later in the week. Lots of financial baloney going down right now. In fact, Peter Schiff on Twitter was just, going at it. He's looking for congressional investigations now with the shenanigans revolving around stablecoins, Tether, Bitcoin. I haven't paid a lot of attention to it, but I'm going to bone up tonight. We're going to hit the financial stuff pretty hard this week on the Shannon Joy Show. We have Paul Stone of Colonial Metals Group, who's going to be with us on Friday. Get your questions ready, okay? The Bitcoin rug pull is happening, and they are messing with your money. First, they messed with your body during COVID-19 and the lockdowns. Then they poisoned you with their mRNA technologies and Operation Warp Speed. Now they're destroying your food supply via mass culling and injecting the livestock with mRNA technology. And they're fixing to collapse our economy as well, completely devalue our cash, thrust us into an economic nightmare, and then try to dump us all onto some type of controllable stable coin like Tether or Bitcoin, the digital currency. And then they'll have access to all of our information. I mean, absolutely everything. Bill Benz. Oh, wow. Zuckerberg is claiming to have, this is from Bill Benz, is claiming to have injected mRNA into as many as 1 million North American white-tailed deer. Nothing to see there. I have no idea about that. I mean, all of these terrible people that everyone hated during COVID lockdowns who pimped all of the fear porn, people like Mark Zuckerberg, are now firmly entrenched and aligned with the Trump administration. People can't see this. I cannot believe that people cannot see this. I am the only one to rip the Band-Aid off and call a spade regarding this administration. We have, we also have, nothing makes sense these days. It really is amazing. I have two pieces here. Let's go to the linked story. So I have this Bobby Kennedy Jr. piece, the op-ed in Fox News on the measles outbreak that we will talk about. But also just today, I mean, they're moving so fast. There was, a statement from HHS. Apparently, anti-Semitism is a health emergency in the United States of America. And RFK Jr., for whatever reason, has to combat anti-Semitism, which is speech. It's people's beliefs and thoughts about, whatever. And so apparently, HHS is going to take this on as a major initiative to banish anti-Semitism. Well, does that mean that we can't criticize Israel? Does that mean I'm not allowed to criticize Benjamin Netanyahu? Does that mean I'm not allowed to point to the very powerful Israeli lobby that is pumping money and stuffing so many of our elected officials, their pockets full of cash to support Israeli initiatives over American initiatives? I don't think that's okay. But apparently, this is within the purview of Robert Kennedy Jr. and HHS. So he is pushing MMR vaccination. He's looking the other way as the USDA is fixing to shoot up our livestock with mRNA technologies. And now he's like delving into other areas that he should have nothing to do with, right? It's really crazy. It's really crazy. And so we have this piece, it's linked. I've linked all of this into my top headlines for today. We have Bobby Kennedy pimping the MMR vaccine. We have a great piece from Josh Hammer, the Andrew Tate moral rot in the future of the American right. Okay. We have a few other pieces listed, some support pieces for Pierre Kory and Midwestern Doctor. And it just, nothing makes any sense. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Andrew Tate went on Patrick Bet-David yesterday and basically mocked monogamy, the cultural underpinnings, Judeo-Christian underpinnings, this idea that one man and one woman get married and they have a family and it's a stable family. He said the whole monogamy thing in the West is a complete joke. And I guess everyone should be a polygamist. So he's into spreading a seed the way that Elon Musk is through his artificial insemination, 4 different moms, 13 kids. They're just weird. They're just crazy. This piece by Josh Hammer is actually really, really good. And we might have some time to go through this today with the whole Andrew Tate thing. It just makes no sense. This guy is a self-admitted pimp pornographer. He's a total degenerate. And yet the Christ is king. Candace Owens yesterday once again emerged from her lair to pimp out, lie, and mislead her audience about Andrew Tate. Patrick Bet David, who I call pimp boosting dirtbag, it turns out that he and Andrew Tate are in business together. All right. So there's a lot of money being passed around and it's all disgusting. But yeah, Andrew Tate is a Muslim. He is not just a Muslim. This is from Josh Hammer's piece. And he goes into what a dirtbag Andrew Tate is for all the reasons, and they're all laid out. I've laid them out to you like ad nauseum many times. But in addition to that, Andrew Tate has praised radical Islamic jihadism. Recently, after the Israeli Defense Forces killed the mastermind of the October 7 terror attack, he said, "I can only pray for a death as heroic as Yahya Sinwar, brave, defiant in the face of evil, and dedicated to his life's purposes," said Andrew Tate about an Islamic terrorist. Tate, a British U.S. citizen, has also said, and I quote, "Allah is the best of planners, and I look forward to seeing the Islamic Republic of Great Britistan, in her final form." So he has promoted the subjugation of women, the brutalization of women, the selling of women, the abuse of young girls. He is a self-admitted child rapist, and that we have found in some of his discussions about who he references as his bottom bitch, Vivian. And and conservatives are like applauding this guy. Donald Trump is all in. Don Jr. is all in. JD Vance, all in on the Tate brothers. Josh Hammer asked the question. This was in Newsweek, very important op-ed that is linked into the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Asked in Newsweek, why has this administration, the Trump administration, assisted the Tate brothers using diplomatic influence? He says, in recent years, there's been a rise of neo-Nietzschean sentiment in pockets of the nominal right, and I would call them bizarro-con. So I named this group for you about 6 to 8 months ago, and these are a new crop of degenerates, just total degenerates. They're not Christians, they're not conservative, they're not right-leaning, they're something, but not what anyone would think would be traditional conservatism or a traditional conservative Christian. These personalities, such as Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and Laura Loomer, and Cernovich, and Patrick Bet David, and Mario Nawfal, these are all newbies. These people were who they came out of nowhere, highly platformed by Elon Musk and also Trump Jr. and Trump through their investment in Rumble, platforms like Rumble. So these people have been pushed to the top. They're not accidental influencers. They aren't just so great at what they do that people just flock to them. No, there's a lot of money behind them and they have an agenda to move the culture. In Tate's case, this is the legitimization and the normalization of sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, the subjugation of women, and polygamy. All right, this guy is a total dirtbag. So Josh Hammer writes, he continues in his piece, in recent years, there's been a rise in the neo-Nietzschean sentiment in pockets of the nominal right. Andrew Tate and the reactionary, what he calls a Bronze Age pervert, advance a fundamentally pagan vision that is alien to and ultimately irreconcilable with the right's century long biblical Judeo-Christian inheritance. If being a conservative means anything, says Josh Hammer, then it must mean conserving biblical teachings in the two great religions, Judaism and Christianity, that created and developed what we call the West. But the right Nietzscheans scorn this. They don't actually believe in the genuine human equality that flows from the book of Genesis's world-altering claim that humankind, mankind and womankind alike are made in God's image. We are valuable. We have one God. We are not to be abused. by rulers or monarchies, right? We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights so that we are free to worship God and be in relationship with Him. Okay? Like those on the woke left, they insincerely claim to oppose, they engage in their own forms of group-based identity politics. For Andrew Tate, that means the superiority of men over women and the superiority of Islam and just general debauchery over Judaism and Christianity. This is like full scale paganism with elements of the demonic. Okay? These people are dark, dangerous. We are dealing with criminal cartels. I cannot express this in any more clear terms about what we're dealing with Andrew Tate and the group. Now, the good news is, as I speak to you today, these people are being exposed heavily. They are not conservatives. They are not Christian. You cannot be a Christ-believing Christian and promote and lie for Andrew Tate and confuse your audience about the nature of his crimes and also the crimes that he is being charged with in 2 countries, but also the crimes that he has admitted to. So Candace Owens is a fraud. Russell Brand is a fraud. Alex Jones is a fraud. Tucker Carlson is a fraud. Donald Trump, Trump Jr., anyone who gets behind these criminal, accused child sex traffickers and protects them cannot call themselves Christians. There's something, but they're not Christ-believing Christians. Not in any way, shape, or form. Josh Hammer finishes, and he's right. It's ugly stuff. Ugly, vile, wicked stuff that they are doing to women and to girls. Wicked. It is absolutely crucial, writes Josh Hammer, that genuine conservatives respond to this threat correctly, including the right's own self-interest. The Tate brothers' agenda is not only abhorrent, but it is wildly unpopular to boot. It would not be a smart political move for the Trump administration to continue to lend them a hand in any way. Thank you to Josh Hammer for standing up. Please share this with everyone you know. Anyone who is confused about the Tate brothers should read this piece by Josh Hammer. It is linked and it is sourced. And it is linked also in the show notes of the Shannon and Joy Show. CM 1968, Shay, I put men and women in the same category when I say mankind, not humankind. Very good. Just insane. But it's just insane. And then, I mean, honestly, Bobby Kennedy Jr., it's complete 180. I started today's show. We only have a couple minutes left. How many minutes do we have left, Annie, in the show today? About 8 minutes. Okay. And thank you so much to Annie for producing this show. And also a young woman who was subjugated by men, radical Islamists and polygamists. And so, yeah, we need to just absolutely, we need to crush this. I don't know if we're going to win. Andrew Tate has just an absolute machine behind him, a machine led by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Think about that. Think about that for a moment. An army of highly platformed influencers that came out of nowhere who call themselves conservatives, all of them working together in tandem, repeating narratives, repeating talking points, pushing it out. When they get pushback, pushing it out again. It's just insane. And so this is one of the reasons that I am moving. I mentioned to all of you that I'm moving from Twitter to Substack. And it's never going to be a clean break. I think that I will just likely spend less and less time on Twitter because it is so propagandized. It is just a as I mentioned, a fire hose of lies and distortions, one after another after another. The news cycle is moving too fast. It's too fast. And if you have any commentators out there who are speaking to you as if they know everything that's going on and they are 100% definitive about this or that, just remember they're probably reading a script. There are so many scripts being read out there right now. And I've become more mindful about my show prep every day. I want to be less influenced by the algorithms over at Twitter and the algorithms over at Facebook. I want to find good sources, the best sources, and then bring them to you on a regular basis and try to figure this all out with you as an audience. And the best source for me is the Bible, period. And so I'm starting my show prep today, every day, actually. I'm starting my show prep with a daily reading chronological of the Bible. So I'm reading Old Testament, New Testament, and then also the corresponding day in Proverbs and also in Psalms. And this is really, I was so blessed this morning because I've talked to you guys about that fire hose in the face. This is a psyop. We are all victims right now of a massive psyop. From the Bobby Kennedy thing to the Andrew Tate thing to the Zelensky Trump WWE wrestling match we saw last week about Ukraine, to the Bitcoin pump and dump, to the manipulations with our currency, inflation, tariffs, all of it, everything that we're seeing from Elon Musk and Doge, the headlines that are just coming fast and furious as they're taking over large mechanisms of our government without the consent of the people, outside of our Constitution, all of the executive orders, everything happening so fastly. Like, this is a psyop, all of it. And there is a narrative from the left, there is a narrative from the right, and then there is the bizarro-con narrative. There is a narrative of very real anti-Semitism and hatred of Jews that is peppering this conversation, that is muddying the waters about what we're looking at with their speech control regarding anti-Semitism, right? So that conversation is completely muddled and messed up. So, this is all, it is highly confusing. And so I was so blessed this morning. I was reading Proverbs 3:5, and this was the scripture. Trust the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and do not lean on your own understanding, right? Everyone out there, as I mentioned, we're being pummeled, a blitzkrieg of information from experts, scientists, politicians, bureaucrats, media, journalists, influencers, people like myself. I mean, it's all just coming at you at a breakneck pace. The narratives of the right and left media, angles, distortion, propaganda, lies, and psyops, all of it so fast. And with confusing and downright blatant hypocritical messaging. This is when you slow down. This is when you slow everything down and you pause, and we find our bearings. Okay. We find the reality of the situation we are in, what we decide, what we believe in, and you find your bearings. I believe in the Bible and I am rooted in my Christian faith. And so, that scripture this morning, along with Psalms, I believe it was Psalm 104, which was it's this beautiful psalm about nature and nature's God and the majesty of God's creation, one God, the most powerful, all powerful God of Abraham, Isaac, and the likes. Just a beautiful scripture about nature and how nature works and why we're here and what we're doing, and all of it coming together really just left me in a state of a lot of peace. And so I'm going to try not to be influenced by what I'm seeing on Twitter. I'm going to go in and find those great sources. And this is one of the reasons that I'm moving over to Substack as much as possible. And I would encourage all of you guys to do that as well. I have a new Substack page, and we're running the show on Substack on a daily basis. But they want to penetrate your mind with fear every day. The right fears the left fears the right. You're afraid of Biden or Trump, Democrats, Republicans. We should be afraid of Russia. We should be afraid of China, economic collapse, the bird flu, the measles, right? We should be afraid of vaccine shedding, right? And or World War III. We should be afraid of an EMP attack, cyber attack. I mean, you name it. Everything is out there, and it's just fear pummeling us. We have to resist that. Fear is paralyzing. It keeps us from saying the things we need to say, doing the things we need to do, and making good decisions. It also contributes to very bad decisions. Fear is a decision. The decision to not live in fear is something that you have to make every single day. And as American citizens, we need to understand that this is an attack on us, our spirit, our community, our individual sovereignty, our constitutional republic. All of these things are under attack, and it's coming from both sides of the political aisle. As Steve Deace would say back in the day, the calls are coming from inside the house, right? So let's resist that. I want to invite everyone to continue. Get in that Bible. If you're a believer, get in your Bibles. If you're not a believer, maybe you want to consider it. Maybe you want to take a look at it. I mean, I've looked at all the different religions, Islam, Buddha, atheism, agnosticism, whatever it is, all the isms I've taken a look at. And I've just decided the truth is in the Bible for me. And so maybe you want to check it out. But at the very least, people need to get grounded. We need to understand the natural order. Get connected in your community, the sun, the air, get outside, natural healing. But we need to resist against all of this. It is synthetic, it is not real, and it is meant to tear us apart. And it's happening right now. And so I look forward to coming back with you guys on a daily basis. Yeah, done fed up. We got to go. Throw your television in the nearest dumpster, problem fixed. So Annie is telling me that it is time to go. I want to thank all of you for being with us today on the Shannon Joy Show. Don't frag me, bro. Their game plan is old and predictable. Yeah, we know what they're going to do, and we got our eyes on them. So join us tomorrow on the Shannon Joy Show. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to Annie for producing the show. Thank you to Dr. Pierre Kory. All the show notes are listed underneath this show on Rumble, and links to all of our advertisers and sponsors. Get your summit tickets. SummitForTruth.com. That's SummitForTruth.com. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.